Everybody can stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, Madam Clerk, do we have a quorum present?
We do.
All right. The first thing that we've got on the agenda tonight is a work session. And the purpose of the work session is to discuss with council in a public and open meeting some of the sewer opportunities, wastewater opportunities, sewer and septic, that the town has coming up. A couple of them, actually both of the ones that we're going to discuss today, are in response to either community or customer need, basically. The two lines that we are talking about is the downtown septic that will connect with our current municipal septic system, and then a commercial line running up Highway 54 towards Dollar General. So the Dollar General, the commercial line on 54 North would connect to the stub that is provided, and it's the one right here at 54, would connect to the stub that is going to be built out right here that goes off to the Keg Creek water treatment plant. Part of our agreement with the rezoning of the 11 lots over here that we did earlier included 12 parks giving us a sewer stub out for us to connect to. Because the Dollar General system is starting to have issues, and there has been a little bit of interest in some of the commercial properties on 54 North to the east side of the road, now might be a good time to begin planning and preparing for an eventual commercial line. Now, I want to go ahead and preface really this whole conversation by saying this is just for us to start thinking about and planning for septic and sewer service for these locations. There's no major monies that need to be committed at this point. I just want to put it before council and start discussing it and seeing what questions you guys have, so that when we do bring in the experts that can give us the answers, we know how to answer your questions. So as far as it goes with the commercial line on 54 North, we have been talking with Coweta County Water and Sewer Authority. They are willing to work with us on this commercial line for the service up to Dollar General. In speaking with Dollar General and Coweta County Water and Sewer, they are willing to split the cost of a conceptual plan with us. Each of the organizations will do a third of the cost of doing a conceptual plan. And what the conceptual plan will tell us, it'll be a rough design that says we're going to go from here, up to here. It's going to take this amount of this material. We're going to have to drop at this grade elevation, and it's going to cost this amount. They can forecast the cost. Mm-hmm. The cost for that conceptual plan is $3,000, and then if we split it into a third, with Dollar General and Coweta County Water splitting it with us, it'll be $1,000 per. So that would be the next step on the commercial line for 54 North. And you can see on the map, I've got the parcels that the line would service, and it's basically the commercial parcels right there on both sides of 54. The east side of 54 North is going to be a development. The west side of 54 would be a redevelopment because all those parcels are already developed, but as the area grows, there may be a higher and better use.
Well, you have to have, on the east side of 54, is all that going to have to be commercial? Because you've got a couple of houses in there now. Occupied houses.
It doesn't, yes sir, it doesn't have to be, well, it does.
I mean, since you're tied to 12 parks, are you going to be restricted by the Coweta County
Yes.
non-residential?
Yes, we are. That's why the Coweta County Water and Sewer is doing the commercial line. That is right there. So yeah, those houses wouldn't connect. And I believe eventually those lots are going to eventually convert to commercial. I mean, and you can see the two houses. So, well, yeah, out of those, 1, 2, 3.
Well, it's just, there's one that looks like it could stay.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like they would have some legs with it.
The one over there to the very north side, the very tip of it?
Third one to the south.
Okay.
That's a fairly new house.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Well, also that one in front of it, I mean, it's not
Well,
new, but I don't think he's moving anytime
What's
soon.
the-
Yeah.
I know.
What's the limiting factor? Is volume of affluent the limiting factor? And is there any reason not to include the existing commercial?
No, that would be sized for current and future growth.
I'm talking about the ones that are just to the east of 54, but south of McIntosh.
Mm-hmm. Oh, so the way that the line is turning here, I would imagine that this would be a phase one, and then one of the future options would be a phase two to come to the south to provide some of those lots down here to the south, and also eventually maybe even for downtown.
What's the circle on this thing? Is that just a point where the line changes?
Yes, sir. It's just a point
It's
where
not a lift station or anything
no,
like
sir, it's
that?
not. It's just where the line would change.
I would think it'd be fairly easy to.
I think it's going to be, and of course we'll have to wait for the engineers, but if you look at the topography of that, everything pretty much flows down
to it, yeah.
right down to that Keg Creek connection.
Show me Keg Creek on this. Where is that?
So if McIntosh goes out here and goes all the way to Reese Road right here, Keg Creek is a treatment plant that's right there at the corner of Reese Road and McIntosh.
Okay.
That's the new water treatment plant that they built to serve 12 parks.
Okay, that's 12 parks.
Yes, sir. And it outfalls into Keg Creek, so I'm just taken to calling it
And
Keg Creek.
none of this is going to require going up 154 to the high school?
Correct, no, it will not. Because I do have a projection from like 2006 to go from East Coweta to this spot over here is about 1.3 million.
Whoa.
Say that
Yeah.
again?
To go, 2006 estimate, to go from East Coweta High School down to McIntosh and 54, and then up 54 was 1.3 million.
Back up towards Sunset?
Yes, sir.
Good.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
But if we're just,
Connect.
cutting it in half, I'm hoping for a much, much, much lower price. And if the partnership holds with Dollar General and Coweta County Water and Sewer, we could further split that cost. I have also talked with the people that have the commercial lots right here, Jim Brooks and A.B. Landcorp, and they may be willing to contribute some as well because they realize that with sewer on site, their property becomes more valuable.
And where are they on McIntosh? Just
They're,
to the east?
Yes, sir, they're the 3 lots from the corner, the east side of 54, coming north. Right here at McIntosh and 54, and then the 3 lots north. They're the ones that own the non-residential lots right there.
The lake park, I guess.
Mhm.
And
the
also
park-
the one with the brick house that,
The camps, that is a investor property.
Okay.
That's the one that the camps own.
You ever hear anything else about that problem with the subdivision south of 16?
I haven't had any,
And
no,
running
sir,
that
not
line
about
back
that.
up through here? Back up through
Mm-mm.
Sharpsburg?
Mm-mm. That would probably be serviced from a different direction.
How many in a different direction? I thought they'd have to tie in at the high school.
If it went through the water and sewer, yes, sir.
If it went, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
All right, that's
Yeah.
one of the old options. we had. Okay.
Yes, sir.
What's the time frame on this?
If we got the money to do the conceptual, it could be 30 to 90 days before we get the conceptual. And then once that comes back, then I don't know what Coweta County Water's construction schedule is, because the plan is still for them to bid and construct the line. We wouldn't do any of that because they have the expertise to that. The timeline to get onto their schedule would really be driven by developer and or Dollar General demand. And while we've got a potential solution for Dollar General, I don't think it's a long-term viable solution. So about the time solution number 1 at Dollar General doesn't work, that may give us the lead time to back into when we're ready to do this. Because once we get the conceptual drawing and we get the dollar amounts, then we can start looking for grants or loan funding for it. And then once we get that loan funding, then we can begin letting the other dominoes fall in place.
So for East Cardio to Dollar General, you estimated 1.3 million. What you estimating on this one?
I have no idea. I don't know, and I don't even want to hazard a guess because I could be too far off in either direction. Now the estimate that I had for East Coweta was an old drawing from 2006. So it's going to be a chunk, but this is probably one of the most turnkey things that we've got, because we know that Dollar General is interested in expanding. We know that there's going to be some development opportunities along 54 North. So this is the one thing that is probably, it's not the most likely to happen, because I think the Team Hungry stuff will have a quicker trigger. But this, I think, will give us the bigger long-term success, because you're going to be bringing in, big stuff, bigger stuff.
This terminal end on McIntosh Trail, they'd have to continue that all the way down to the creek.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and the developer's going to do that. Because keep in mind that they are getting ready. If you look just to the east of the red dots where we annexed in those we rezoned those 11 lots, that parcel just to the east of it is getting developed now. He's getting ready to break ground on that. So they are going to be bringing that sewer, that connection out this way anyway to provide sewer to those houses.
Right next to the Staleys?
Yes, sir. Mm-hmm.
Cool. All right.
So if we wanted to talk about authorizing the $1,000 for the conceptual study, we could certainly do that. That would be the next step on the commercial 54 North line.
That's money well spent once the time's right to flip the switch on it.
And the good thing about all these plans, especially now that we're doing it and we're pushing forward to it and we're updating all our administrative systems, is when we get these plans, they will be good from here until they need to be refreshed and until we actually start turning dirt. The money that we invest now can be used this year, next year, 5 years from now, because we're going to be doing all this preparatory work that can then be used in the future. So just because we spend it now, we should not have to spend it again, except for to update it if it's been 5 or 6 or 10 years. So that's where we are on 54 North. On the downtown parcel, this is to connect and provide facilities for the Team Hungry project that we're hoping to build and take place up here. Team Hungry and the landlord have met, and they have both agreed that they would like to see conceptual plans. They would like to see some plans for both what Team Hungry is going to do and then what the town is going to do for connecting to the infrastructure. So while they are in agreement, I would like to talk with ISE about the conceptual plan for connecting those buildings up there to our septic system. They have started doing some of the work, but we had to talk with DPH, Department of Public Health, before we got deep into the weeds for it, because DPH is going to ask that we put a septic tank on our right-of-way up there to catch the solids, and then just let the liquids come down and collect down here and then be pushed up to our decentralized system. Walked the site with DPH, and they originally they weren't quite sure about it being in the right of way, but since it's a municipal owned system and it's in the municipal right of way, they are more understanding about that because it's the town system.
Where are they talking about doing that? You said the right of way.
Yes, sir.
Where on the map?
So actually probably right about where the round circle is next to the wooden post office. You can see right where that, honestly, probably right about where that flagpole lot comes up right beside it. That is probably going to be the most logical location. Of course, the design will tell us where the best place to do it. But I was thinking we could have it down further west down Main Street, but there's two big trees right there that I don't want to mess with if I can help it. And if we put it anywhere other than closer towards the wooden post office, it's going to hit one of those big oak trees. And I don't want to hurt the big oak trees. They're just so big and pretty. And what this would do is this would provide facilities for the two brick buildings, the wooden post office, and then the open area where they would park the food truck and do the food truck services, and then the open community gathering place that was shown on the rendering at the previous meeting.
So what about the first two buildings?
What about,
Say that again?
Rusty's building?
So Rusty's building, the yellow knick-knack shack, has signed an agreement with Tommy at the Antiques place to use his restroom. Now, of course, I'm sure Jeff wouldn't mind if one of his customers came down, but the conceptual that we would do would be sized for the brick building, the two brick buildings, the wooden post office, and then the open gathering space. Because we're going to size it based on customer load. And Team Hungry is planning on bringing an event planner to one of those buildings. They're going to bring a home decor place to one of those buildings. They'll have the food, the coffee house, hangout spot inside the wooden post office, and then the food truck, coffee truck in the open area beside the wooden post office. And that bathroom would be sized for that particular customer load.
What did y'all find out was the limiting factor in our system? Is it capacity of these tanks? Is it pumps? Is it leach field?
It's going to be, so based off just preliminary things, it's going to be adding a tank for solids up there and then expanding the leach field by, I think, 75 to 100 feet.
Oh, so it'll expand out to the point where you're already cutting it?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Where you're already cutting it? Did you get that?
Where I'm hoping to cut it. We might have to cut
You better not cut it. Okay, but that's not much.
No,
It's
it's
like
not.
a couple of 30-foot loops.
And I'm hoping that it doesn't end up being more, and it may. She may mean 100 per line, because we got 3 lines out there. So it may be 100 per line, so 300 total.
That's a lot.
Yeah, it is. And I don't think it needs to be that much. I'm thinking just one 75-foot extension should be enough, but, I'll wait on the engineers and see what they say.
Well, understand that David broke his property up.
Yes, he did.
Maybe you can talk about a piece of that, if you have to.
Yeah. Yeah, that would certainly be possible. And another thing that I want to make sure that we do, any additional stuff that we put onto this system, I want to be able to plan ahead and retrofit that into some kind of sanitary sewer system, because this is a septic system. This is decentralized septic is really what we're using here. Eventually, sanitary sewer with the force main will probably replace this. So whatever we do, I'm going to try to do it to where we size it to where all we got to do is cut the pipe from the tank, connect the force main over, and then we're not having to retrofit any of this other stuff.
All you got to do is make that line from the 3rd or 4th building down to the 2 trees you're talking about, make that compatible with the main line, with the system. The rest of it can be hog wire and plastic.
Yes. And I just want y'all to know that we're trying to think far enough ahead to where we're going to save us some money coming down the road. The blue line that's coming up is the one that already exists, and I believe, I wish it was more, but I think it's just a 2-inch line.
Does this fairly well follow the path of it?
Yes.
I thought it wound back around by the duplexes there. Interesting.
No,
So integrated science would also give us a cost on all of this?
Yes. So the next step, on this one for the downtown, it would be integrated science and engineering. For the 54 North line, it would be Krebs Engineering. Krebs, Krebs, Krebs Engineering, and that is because the engineer that is working with Coweta County Water and Sewer on 54 North is now with Krebs. So that project transferred with him.
All right, and that was, you use acronyms, but it's...
KREB,
Who's the other one?
Krebs, ISE, Integrated Science and Engineering.
So Ruby's is going to start raising some money, from what I understand.
Yes,
To take care of a lot of this cost.
yes.
But where is the city? And I know that we were talking about charging the landowner, property owner, a monthly sewer fee, just to be able to use
Yes.
ours for maintenance and stuff
Yes.
like that.
Yes, once we get the downtown septic system connected, there will be a monthly charge for wastewater usage, and that will go towards basically maintenance and operations. And if y'all see all these kids out here walking around in the park, these are the Team Hungry kids that would probably be down here and doing stuff. They're doing prayer on the porch out here. They just do it every Monday for like an hour, hour and a half, and they just meet and pray, you know. So this is the demand that Team Hungry is starting to create around here, and with the work that they've done with the town.
We charge to the landlord or to
I would think that
the tenant.
that this downtown project could happen fairly quickly.
It could happen very quickly, because as soon as, yes, it could happen very quickly, because we would be in control of the construction, and it would just be right here, and it's really a pretty simple run. I mean, it's just a matter of figuring out what the elevation is and what angle you're putting the pipe in so that it all gravity falls down here.
And so Joe's been apprised of this?
Yes, Team Hungry has been keeping the property owner in the loop for ongoing, and they had a conversation last week, and it ended on a positive note, and Joe said he would like to see some plans.
That's good. I've talked to him and a couple of times about this, and his only reservation was with the ISE.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I think the cost to go into another provider would be not extraordinary at this point, but it would be an extra burden on the town and an extra lift.
I'm not suggesting we do it. I made
No,
the comment.
and I understand. Yeah. And Team Hungry has a general contractor that would be working with them on the connections, and so with an additional layer and additional oversight, I think hopefully they will be a little more comfortable with
Another
it.
thing he was concerned about was a cap on volume, cap on service. He didn't want to have a situation where he had Team Hungry go in there, they've got a coffee shop, and all of a sudden, we've got something going on here, and we can't, the new capacity wouldn't handle the peak. He was concerned about that. He didn't want to be the odd man out whenever we realized there was too much volume for the capacity.
Correct.
That's mathematics.
Yeah, it is, and the engineers will size this for peak plus 10, 15, 20, 25%. I'm not going to say that it won't happen, but if we've got it designed right, there won't be, it should not be a finger-pointing situation, and that is not how I would approach it, or any of us would approach it.
Another thing you could do as far as the capacity goes is you could, in addition to having a solid tank across Main Street, you could also put in an additional 1,200-gallon liquid tank, because you've already got about a secondary tank here, and a third one.
Yeah.
And just let them all weir into each other.
So that may be part of the future-proofing. That kind of thought and planning may be part of the future-proofing, because eventually we will get sewer in downtown, and with the exception of maybe one other low spot, this is the lowest spot in downtown, right out here. So it would make sense for us to gravity feed everything to here and then push it up into the force main, wherever that ends up. So that additional tank may be part of the future-proofing.
Well, I don't think that's how it'll end up working out, because you're gonna have to drop everything down to a lift station across the railroad tracks behind your father's house. And so everything can flow downhill to there, so you wouldn't have to use this system here to lift it up.
Well, and
It wouldn't make any sense from a cost standpoint.
Well,
There.
I mean, it would, but it wouldn't. If we had a big budget and could do all of this at once and lay all those lines at once, you're right. It would make sense to go over there on one side and then over here for the other side. But if we're going to be piecemealing it, I'm thinking this will probably be the most available low spot where development will probably happen, because I know that we don't have any plans to do anything with our parcels out there, for probably the next, hopefully 25 to 50 years. So as we're piecemealing it, this may be,
Well, you can think it through, like, you can think along those lines, and there's nothing wrong with thinking that way, but I think when all is said and done, engineering and gravity and elevation is gonna dictate what you do.
yeah.
And the money.
And not the logic of what you've already got.
True.
It just doesn't work that way. Good.
So that's where we are. Like I said, there is no direct next steps here in the work session. If we want to, we can amend the agenda to get the $1,000 for the 54 North line. The downtown drawings, I still need to talk, make sure the engineers and DPH are on the same page. And then I can get the estimate for the conceptual from them. And I would just like to get the conceptual before I bring it to council, because I don't have a dollar amount for the downtown conceptual. I have a dollar amount for the 54 North conceptual.
Go $3,000.
Mm-hmm. But the cool thing about that one is the fact that we've got two other parties contributing to it. That's the thing that makes because we're hopefully setting the standard for, partnerships further down the line.
I think we ought to hold off on the 1,000 on the conceptual plan, let Elizabeth and Stan look at it.
Okay.
That's what I think.
Mm-hmm.
That could be a phone call away for each of them.
Okay.
Because that's not a lot of money for the potential gain.
Okay. No, I absolutely agree.
Even if we come up with $1,000 for a conceptual plan and it just doesn't work, if it does work, it's good.
Mm-hmm. So then what I may do is if you guys are in agreement following this meeting, not tonight, obviously following it, but afterwards, I will reach out to both of them and explain the $1,000, $3,000, and see if I can get the approval. And then that way I can go ahead and start our 30, 60, 90-day clock if they approve it, and then if council will approve it.
Well, I suggest let's approve it, you go with them
Okay.
decision.
Okay.
What was that?
Just confirm with them.
I agree to approve it, then we gotta check with Elizabeth and, Stan later.
Excellent.
Was this our work session?
Yes, we are still, we're still within the work session. Sorry about that, my phone was doing something funny. So yeah, those were my two updates on sewer. If we don't have any other questions from council, we can exit our work session and then go into our regular session. Do I need a motion to come out of work session?
No.
Okay, all right, well then we'll close the work session, move on into executive session.
Regular session.
Did I say executive session? I'm sorry, I was looking down at the executive session minutes. So, moving into the regular session of council, the first thing we have is the approval of the meeting minutes from April 12th, 2021.
Okay.
All right, so if I can get a motion to approve the minutes?
I move we accept the minutes.
All right, Tom has the first. If you just heard it, it was me. Okay, never mind.
I second it.
All right, Cynthia has a second. All in favor? Unanimous, thank you. Second thing is the executive session.
And I have those next to your
Minutes.
package.
Do we have to review the topics of the executive session?
No.
Or do
Well,
we just approve them?
generally, you approve those in executive session. minutes from the executive session. Otherwise, if you approve them in open session,
Could be
they
open.
become open minutes. So you approve them in executive session.
So we need to break anyway to go to executive session.
Well, you
Well,
don't have to,
we had planned on
because
it
that
tonight
creates another
anyway.
7 minutes.
I know.
Most people just wait until they have an executive session
Session.
to sign off on the minutes.
Wow,
Okay.
nobody's ever told me
All right.
that,
Yeah.
ever, ever.
Okay, well then we can adjust as
We'll,
needed.
yeah, we'll just not approve those.
Yeah.
We won't. Okay, so the new business is we have some bids to install audio video equipment in the community center. Dina or Julie, I will let y'all talk about the estimates that we've got.
Okay, I reached out to, a couple of different companies, actually, a couple didn't even respond,
Right.
but we have eSecurity Solutions. The first quote that we got was for an 85-inch, and it was on the, I think, the last page, an 85-inch Sony. Blue and I measured the wall, and we really don't need an 85-inch.
It would look real good.
Yes, but at $3,600, I don't think that, that's feasible.
You can buy
So-
2 of them with a stimulus check.
I know. So I asked him to go down to a 65-inch, and, well, the actual quote for the 85-inch includes the 85-inch wall mount here, a sound bar, a cable, and all the covers and stuff like that in labor. It was gonna cost $5,300. Plus, in my office, I wanted them to take Blue's old big TV that we've used in here for Zoom meetings and stuff to put it on the wall so I can see the security cameras in that back office, because when I'm here by myself, I can't hear or see anybody when I'm working back there. Also, we can use that for executive sessions, for an audio, video, TV as well. We don't have to buy it, we just have to, pay someone to install that, and it only costs $860. So when I contacted eSecurity Solutions to downgrade the TV to a 65-inch, he gave us another quote for $3,516. And this one includes the same thing. Nothing changes for the office back there, but it just changes the pricing on the conference room. And then I reached out to Blue Collar Media, which is Mr. Alan Nolan back here, and told him what we wanted. So he actually provided 2 quotes to do the same thing. You can see the difference. I didn't ask him to quote on an 85-inch, but I did for a 65-inch and a 55-inch just to see what types of pricing he would give us. So his 65-inch and eSecurity Solutions, there's about $900 difference there. My recommendations is to Blue Collar Media, the 65-inch Samsung.
And that's option B?
Yes.
Okay. And do you know what the turnaround time is for install? Couple weeks?
Once everything is ordered and received, 2 days.
What's gonna drive this? I mean, what kind of software are you gonna have that's gonna operate this thing?
We don't have to have any software.
We won't need any separate software because anything that we plug into it, we may, I don't even think that we're gonna truly need a head unit to push the signal out, because that should be contained within the device that we're casting with,
So
be
it's
it.
a Bluetooth receiver?
Yes.
Mhm.
Okay.
Plus, it'll have a USB connection if you need to hook a computer, laptop to it for a PowerPoint, whatever you want to do. Unless it's by cable, you just plug it in.
And then it just projects up there. So there shouldn't be any separate software that's being needed to do it.
these are just questions for my information, but
Fire away.
let's say you got, let's say I've got something on my phone, and we're sitting there talking back and forth, and Blue's, showing stuff on the computer, and Dina's showing stuff on the computer. Can I jump in and show something different, on a different topic on my phone?
Sure. It's a smart TV, so as long as you can identify your phone to that TV, you can transmit right to it, just like you do at home for Netflix and stuff. If you're on your phone or Apple TV, you can send it right up there.
He's a whiz.
Yeah.
And these splitters that I'm talking about using, the same ones I use here that transmit 2 or 3 different directions, they work great. I've been using that one for 2 years.
Is there anything super duper that's coming down the pike?
Super duper.
Anything that's just the next generation that's,
Like 8K or anything like that?
Oh, that's already out. We've got 6K, 8K, but
for what we're talking
I'm
about?
not going there because
We've
first
already-
of all,
Years, it's
my
always
camera
something
won't
new.
record me.
It's
always
Yeah,
something
right now I've got one 6K camera, everything else is 4K, and that's just, to me, that's ridiculous.
And I didn't even think about him quoting on this, and just one day I said, could you do this? So he came in and looked at everything, he said, yes, I can do this.
So we've been struggling with it for months.
I couldn't get
Yeah.
anybody to come back
Mhm.
in and give us a quote.
Yep.
I mean, y'all asked for an audio video, quote several months ago.
Yeah, that equipment we saw down at the DOT,
Mm-hmm.
that's an older type,
Mhm.
technical
Mm-hmm.
package, because they actually had a transmitter hooked to their phone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they had a little desktop unit that they plugged their computer into, and it was probably hardwired down and then over and up. But yeah, that's very similar to what he's.
But that's the old generation, is my point.
Mm-hmm.
And there will
Yep.
be a hardware like this HDMI right here. If I wanted to send this signal to it right now, I could. If you wanted to just right out here. But you can also do it wirelessly.
And then the other thing is, in addition to using it for meetings and whatnot for here, when we have events, we can rent that for an additional charge.
I was gonna ask about that, yeah.
We can rent the audio and video and have that as an additional capacity. Like if they're doing a graduation, they want to show pictures on the wall. Well,
We do have the speaker, in the little
Mhm.
comm box back there,
Mhm.
comm closet, I call
Yeah.
it.
Or a celebration of life,
Mhm.
audio-visual package
Mhm.
for rent.
Absolutely. Yep.
I was
And we
thinking,
have a lot of those,
I was
actually.
thinking re-elect Blue Coal, the barbecue.
Any other questions I can answer? It'll all be mounted on the wall. You won't see any wires. It'll be mounted right above your head back there. Put the outlet and everything in the wall. You won't see anything except the sound bar.
How would you set our meetings up with this on the wall back here behind us?
Some of those plans you just showed would have been nice to have on the screen so you
Mhm.
can see them.
So I'd have to turn around,
No,
Mm-hmm.
you have it in front of you on paper.
get a mirror.
Or you can turn around, or we can design it wherever,
Yeah.
however you want.
We'd
you know?
probably load stuff onto it and just throw it up there. We'd probably have a computer sitting over here or over there, and one of them would drive it, and would just put stuff up there.
County has it on the side,
Mm-hmm.
so people have to turn.
Well, somebody's gonna have to turn, whether it be, if we set y'all up down there looking this way, or then the patrons would have to turn around and look.
But we
you know.
can figure all that out.
Yeah.
So does council have a preference on a bid
I motion to go with blue collar.
for,
Which option, A or B?
B, that's what, 65 inch?
Mhm.
65 inch.
all
I'd
right,
second that.
all right. Tom has a second, all in favor? Unanimous for those present, thank you. All right. So that concludes our new business. We don't have any old business. Do we have any comments from the general public? Okay.
So the only thing I just, great deal of respect for the council and the mayor's office. So, as we told you, we came down from Virginia, from Northern Virginia, so we are like ranked 3
Mhm.
New York City and Los Angeles. We all battle each other, or Northern Virginia, who they are. So, not that I'm asking anything now, but at some point, you know, it would be nice to see like a plan for, you know, what are we gonna do about the traffic? Because I walk here the streets at the afternoon,
Mhm.
you know, 54 here is completely jammed up all the way back. I hear talk about, we're gonna put a road from Peachtree City on the backside of Lake McIntosh over into the McIntosh Trail. And that means traffic down my street is gonna get horrendous, which it's already horrendous when I'm out. Because there's no sidewalks or anything, and there's deep ditches on each side, and, you know, and people fly down that road.
Yeah.
I mean, it's 45 miles an hour, and then anybody going 45 miles an hour.
You're on McIntosh?
We're on McIntosh Trail, yeah, down on the upper side of Reese there, and it's just horrendous. And so, I know there's a big problem with the Home Depot, was it 34 and 74, that whole area, and people are looking way they can justify. I would hate to think that they would wanna push all that stuff over on Sharpsburg side and make it a problem over here. And as we see all these new developments going in, 12 parks, and, you know, I take a drive on my motorcycle down the street, like there's a development every 50 feet, brand new
Yep.
things going in. Well, every bit of one of those has 2 cars and all that gonna come around here. And so I'm just, at some point, would like to hear like a plan for, like, how are we gonna do that? Because you guys are about ready to do sewers here, you're gonna be bringing people into here, but with people equals traffic and all the other stuff too. And pretty soon you're gonna have a lot of congestion down here and all that. And I would hate to see this quaint little area, you know, without a plan,
So.
Just talk to that.
You gotta show him what our plans were for the T-Splosh.
Yeah, that's about where I was going. The traffic planning is done usually by 2 or 3 different entities based on where the road is and whether it's state, local, county road. A lot of the issues that you mentioned are things that we as a town don't directly solve, but what we do is we kind of help drive the conversation and help be a good partner. So, for example, the 16 and 54 roundabout, we've been working with the county and the state and just trying to help push that along and just asking questions of our other elected representatives to kind of make sure that your needs are spoken for through us to them. The Fayette and Coweta County roads that are going across, the TDK Boulevard, the 54-74 intersection, that's a whole great big mess. But we continue to just work with the elected representatives in both Fayette and Coweta County and say, hey, we need to solve this. We'd be willing to host it. We'll do whatever we can to help drive the conversation. But that is really with them. But what we can do here within our sphere is make sure that the developments that we put in, this 54 North is a perfect example because our T-Splosh project was to add a center turning lane for 54 from 54 and McIntosh up to about the Dollar General, to add acceleration and deceleration lanes coming in and out so that we can handle the traffic and the growth that's going to come with the development or redevelopment of that section. Because what I don't want to have happen is a state highway where all the traffic's doing like this and you can't get in or out because that defeats the purpose. So our transportation special purpose local option sales tax that we proposed was literally for this particular section because we knew eventually we were going to get sewer there. Those plans are still on the books. If it does come back up for a referendum like we hope it does and like we know that we need it to do, this will probably, without speaking for council, this will probably be one of our suggested projects. Now, one thing that you mentioned specifically was walking trails and access and pedestrian safety. One of the things that we are working with 12 parks on is interconnectivity. We have continued to push and suggest and hope and propose that they connect their subdivision and their stuff eventually with this 54 commercial section right here. And part of the conversation that we've had with the developers is to make sure all of these lots are not individual lots. They are interconnected and there is access coming not just on 54, but feeder roads coming in so you can take off some of this traffic pressure right here. If I can get 12 parks, which is going to come up through here, and if I can get them to connect into this, and then we build this connection, it's not but just 1 or 2 little strips down here to get a connection connection from 12 Parks over to our downtown. And that is our goal. We want to be able to connect McIntosh, 12 Parks, through a Carter path system over to downtown. Now, there's going to be several different chunks of that. That's going to be both the county chipping stuff in, the city chipping stuff in, and then the developers, within their plans, connecting the broader path network. So while there's not a quick and easy answer to it, there's a lot of different pieces and moving parts, and we are plugged in just as much as we can be with Peachtree City municipal elected officials, Fayette County officials, Coweta County, our state house and state senate representatives, and then the county administration and public works, because they're the ones that are really pushing, because it's truly, well, I don't know if it's unincorporated. I'm not sure if it's incorporated or unincorporated where 1654 are, but the county is taking the lead on it because it's such a high priority project.
What you're asking is that's one of the biggest problems we have regionally.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Biggest problems we've got regionally is
Yeah, it was
how do
over
you handle
in
the
Northern
traffic?
Virginia too. I mean,
Where'd
Oh,
you
yeah.
come from?
so
Yep.
we're up near Manassas.
Up
where
in Manassas.
I was born and raised there, so I grew up on a farm and saw all the farm country there, and it just started coming in and taking over, and it was done very, they said, quick planning, but it's like, for me to go to Lowe's, which was, about 15 miles away, 10 miles away, it was like 2 hours of my time to go up and back, and just, which is one of the reasons why we left Northern Virginia to come here, was to get away from all the hustle and bustle down here, but I do see, like, Sharpsburg is just a pass-through, right, for people on the road, coming in the evenings and stuff, it's like crazy around here.
Well, and that'll get worse as they develop south of 16,
Right,
and on 16 either east or west.
right.
And that's where a lot of the growth is going. I mean, you think you see a lot of here, but down there it's exploding.
And that's why I'm making this comment here in this forum here, is because it's just like, you can't wait. Things you just mentioned are great for the town of Sharpsburg. As a matter of fact, I would take the opposite point of view, like in your discussions with your sewer and everything, if you're gonna connect everything up here, and you're gonna have cart paths coming into the town of Sharpsburg, boy, you better have the park that you mentioned last time around here with the walking trail and bathrooms open,
Yeah.
by the way. So,
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. Yeah.
But plan ahead, like you mentioned, putting bigger sewers, leach field in and the drain field in over, that might be a great thing to think through. Get a price, see what the price difference is between the two. Why not plan ahead? If you're gonna have this in, the 12 parks, they're taking off, what is that, 2-3 years away before all this is gonna be?
So if you go at 54 North now, just outside of the city limits, you'll see all that logging that's going on over there.
Yeah,
That's the next entrance to 12 Parks.
yeah, I just passed it today, unbelievable.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's going to be the entrance to the bulk of the subdivision on this.
What is it, 600 houses
Mm-hmm,
times
695.
2.3,
Mm-hmm,
Yeah,
1,300 cars
exactly,
using the roads.
Yep.
exactly.
Yep.
More business down here for Sharpsburg, I don't know how you
Oh,
go look
yeah.
at it, but yeah.
Traffic.
Traffic.
Mhm.
Traffic is gonna be horrendous,
Yeah, going from here to Home Depot, or not to Sam's and all, that's going to be,
It's gonna be horrendous. It's
Mhm.
gonna be horrible.
Yep.
Yeah.
Traffic's gonna be backed up to Reese Road, right?
It could. All right, Ms. Bowman, anything? Okay, excellent. Polling a council, I'll
Thank you.
start. I'm sorry?
Thank you.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, no, you're more than welcome. Thank you for your comments.
I have
Polling
enough.
council? Councilman Teagle, polling a council?
I don't have anything this time.
Oh,
Clerk, Madam Clerk, do you have some information for us?
I do. Besides your packet, you will see our 2020 Annual Audit, our accountant's report. There's two different ones. They have found no errors in anything that I have done for our finances and budgets. So, yes, thank you. So, we've done with our 2020 year budget and everything looks great, so I'm very excited about that.
The magic words are no exceptions were
No
noted.
exceptions were noted, all the way through.
She's
So,
good.
so I'm very
And this
excited
is,
about
this
that.
is once again, Dina's just excellent work that she has just done. And month after month and period after period for us, and we just thank her very much for that. Anything else on that, Dina? Okay.
What do we end up paying for this?
Go ahead.
Probably 6,000.
It's about half.
Yep.
3,000 to start, 3,000 after we get the report.
After we do this. So, hey, no problem. Coming up, so we have an update on Dollar General. We have issued the finding of fact. Dollar General, and in the finding of fact, the clerk made the determination to suspend their occupational tax certificate as of, was it June 9th?
Yes.
The date? Okay. And then, unless they appealed to us to maintain that. They have appealed the finding of fact. They will come before us, they have asked to come before council in June. They have had someone come out and inspect their system. They have someone come out and they had the original installers, the original engineers come out and look at it. They had their repair technician, and they are proposing to cut the detention pond, maintain the leach field, and their projections is that should solve the problem.
If that attention
And
pond
a new,
has got
and a new
treatment.
pump?
They have investigated the pumps and found that they are functioning. So while they have proposed this as a course of action, I am inclined to accept it because at the very least it will improve the appearance of that side of the property. And if it fixes it, great. If not, then we can look for longer term solutions, which may be part of the 54 North commercial line. So their proposal is to make sure the pumps are working, clean it off, and then just have a regular inspection of it. And then we'll just have to stay on top of it. And then if it fails again, then we come back out and either extend the drain lines or enhance the pumps or whatever.
Well, it's just a question. Since we have an issue with them, can we get someone that we choose to inspect it instead of them getting someone inspect it?
Yes, we could absolutely have either DPH or...
Because anybody can
Right.
get them to say, okay, something.
When was
or
when
push
was
it.
their first failure?
Yeah.
The very, 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 very first one?
Yeah, because that would have nothing to do with how that's maintained.
Well, the first one that we were aware of was in September of 19,
Yeah, it's been a ways.
but I
back.
think there was one before that, wasn't there?
We've got our timelines in the
Yeah,
office.
I'm kind of like you. Now, I wasn't quite sure if that would solve it, but in talking with DPH and Safeville, they said, yeah, it could have something to do with it.
Well, my thing is they unplugged the alarm. The alarm is the pump. And that alarm goes off when the pump is malfunctioning or needs to be replaced.
And that was one of the things that I followed up in the email when they told us about it. I said, well, is staff trained to respond to the alarm, and do they now know? And yeah, and their answer now is yes. And that was one of the things we asked for them to do, is to rewire and clean up and improve the wiring down there around the alarm and around the pumps. Because I'm with you. I'm
It
with
looks
them. I think
awful.
that's what it is.
Yes.
I mean,
I think so.
it's.
But I'm saying we should get someone inspected and we make them pay for it, but we choose the person. That way it won't be them
And
pushing it
it's
through.
just a second opinion, you know?
Yeah. Sure. No, we can do that. Yeah, absolutely.
I'm sure they know this, but we need to make it clear if we haven't, that we're not looking for them to address it, we're looking to them to solve it.
Right.
Because they can, if they address it, it doesn't work, they're still on the hook.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely, yes. And that, any communication like that, we will include that kind of language, because, yeah, this is just, we're not gonna forget about it just because we're trying this thing that we think will work. We're gonna keep working on it until we solve it. And that's really the most recent update on Dollar General.
Did y'all really, I mean, they start reacting to you positively once you,
Once
Once you
we
threaten-
sent, yes, they did. Yeah, once we sent them a couple of, firm letters, we started getting more reaction.
We put some dates in there that they had to appeal by.
Mhm.
Good.
And that and follow-up, you know, we're still working with some bureaucratic silos. And that lady right there saved their bacon. If she had not gone a little bit above and beyond the first time that we had him in here, it would be a totally different conversation, because if she hadn't made that follow-up phone call, they would not have appeared that first day, and it would have been much
Ugly.
more uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But they owe her a thank you.
Which I haven't gotten.
Wow. Well, at least they have the means to take care of it, right?
Yes, they do. One thing that I
Hopefully.
gave council some information about earlier is the conceptual study for the sewer line for 54 North. Here, Elizabeth, I don't know if for 54 North, the conceptual study is going to be $3,000, and we have talked with Coweta County Water and Sewer, and we have talked with Dollar General, and they will split the cost of the conceptual study with us. Now, granted, it's only $1,000 per, but I think the fact that they're willing to split some of the costs for us will be of benefit both now and down the road.
Does that, tie us into, does that come with strings attached?
So the 54 North line, yes, it would, because it's Coweta County Water and Sewer. It would connect to the Keg Creek treatment plant and be processed through there. So it would just be for commercial. At this time, of course, the county could change their mind in the future for Coweta County Water and Sewer. But this line, as of now, would just strictly be a 54 North commercial line.
Is this the one that they have to come through here anyhow?
Mm-mm,
Okay.
no,
All right.
no,
just the red line.
yes,
Okay.
yes, just the red one.
So just that,
Mm-hmm.
And then 12 Parks will run it from, on McIntosh from there down to their treatment plant.
okay. That would have anything to do with us?
From there down, no.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, from that part, no, no. And this is part of the stub out that we negotiated with them when we did that rezoning.
Yeah.
Right here. And in fact, it may slide up a little bit, but that's the closest 12 Parks property to this location, so that's why it's pegged right there.
Okay. Did you guys vote on that yet?
No, not yet, because we wanted to talk with you and Stan before we made the decision, but I think what council is open to is I'll just call Stan, and if he's okay with it, and I know the rest of y'all are okay with it, I'll go ahead and let him know, and then we'll approve it. Because it will take the engineer 30 to 90 days to come up with a conceptual.
Right.
So if I can let him know this week, that'll just bring us that much closer.
Can you add, get them to, in the conceptual, get them to add that existing industrial area?
What existing industrial area?
What, we don't have industrial area.
Commercial area, it's about the tire store and.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I know
Across the
Mr.
street.
Shoemake would love to
Across.
connect, but
Yeah,
I
no,
doubt
I mean,
they're not
yeah, we
gonna
can-
allow him to do
yeah.
that.
Even though he's commercial?
Yeah, because it's across the road.
I'm just like.
Well,
connecting
yeah.
everything
Shoe
right
makes
there.
commercial buildings. Ted Shoe makes commercial stuff over
Right.
there.
Yeah, just connect that to it.
Yeah, see what they think about that. I mean, that'd be great.
Mhm.
It's on, you know,
And the developer for the lots at 54 North and up, AB Landcorp, they may be interested in contributing as well.
okay.
So we got a lot of synergy down there in that area. That is it as far as mayor's updates. We do need to slide into executive session to discuss personnel real quick. So if I could get a motion for that, please.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
All right, we'll slide into executive session.